Hey everybody, thanks for following along. I know a lot of you have been tracking these videos either to make your choices on buying a Flex or you have a Flex and you're just trying to basically find out what we've been discovering to help your own journey out. We just finished our last trip at the motorcycle races, so we wrapped up the last round of Moto America down there, Barber Motorsports Park outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and it was hot as hell. So we did need AC for sure. But in this video, I just want to kind of recap as we're coming to the conclusion of the season, really. Basically what we found with this battery and just kind of the Flex systems in that piece of things. So the Lithionics battery, the Xantrex inverter, as well as the Go Power Solar. We're actually going to be doing a trip next month in the Smokies. So I think we'll take that opportunity to do kind of a final season recap, but there we're going to have full hookups. So there's no limitations for us in that aspect. But with that being said, let me dig right into it. And, so let me preface it with this, is that, my biggest thing with the system is really been, as I've, kind of researched it more, is I want to do things that extend the battery life as best as possible. Because this is a very large and expensive battery. It's somewhere, 200 pounds and God knows how much money one of these things costs to replace. It's not like even some, AGM batteries, marine cell ones, are not cheap, as you know. And there's different things that impact not only just the life of this battery as well as the warranty. There's no fixed warranty from Lithionics. They basically base their warranty coverage off of what the BMS, or the battery management system, is telling them. And two of those biggest things are basically the depth of discharge, cycle counts, those kind of things. So essentially, if you're using this battery a lot more and you're hammering the hell out of it, it's going to seriously deplete your warranty coverage as well as the expected life of the battery, and it'll also affect the overall capacity. Just an example, you look at your iPhone, go to your battery settings, you usually see like a little battery health indicator. It'll show like after a couple of years or whatever, 80% of battery health. So you're only kind of utilizing 80% of the capacity at that point, just because it's just the nature of the beast. They do lose some capacity life over time. So that is something to keep in mind. Then obviously temp and other factors can affect the battery life as well. So with that being said, I would say the biggest thing with this system is, first off, making sure that the settings are done correctly. I've already harped on Winnebago dropping the ball on that, and I will say that since we've updated the Xantrex and what little I've gotten from the solar settings, I'm still waiting to kind of get more, because there's a bit more information, and you'll see I got some screen captures of basically all the things that you can change in these settings. And this is something that users or owners can do easily. So why Winnebago doesn't make sure this information is readily available is beyond me. Because this is, let's be realistic. This trailer has an MSRP of 60 grand. Whether you pay that amount or not, it's a damn expensive system. It should leave the factory floor set correctly. And it shouldn't be having to chase down the dealerships, or the dealerships having to chase down Winnebago. And supposedly mine's going to be pressing them to get some hard answers this week while they've been up there at a show at Winnebago's headquarters. But I will say, since we've updated the settings, that the system seems to be charging better. The discharge side of things, it's kind of a mixed bag. It almost at times seems like maybe we're discharging at a faster rate, but I don't have any kind of like real empirical data on that. It just seems like that's the impression. I will say though, and this has been kind of the way, even before we updated the settings, that the solar actually does do a pretty good job of pumping juice back into the battery, recharging it. So just an example, if just basic running, so, just with the water pump on and maybe the water heater, the system, I would say the fridge is the biggest hitter. You'll see probably upwards of maybe 20% of a drop through each day. But and that's no AC at all. But what you'll see, and no TV or anything like that, what you'll see is the solar actually will usually charge it back up into the 80s, maybe mid 80s or something like that. If the only thing you've got going on, if it's just you start the refrigerator to leave it outside, while you're getting stuff prepped, maybe for an upcoming trip, and generally the battery will stay fully charged even with the fridge on, or it'll recharge it fully. So it does a really good job of keeping the system, topped off really well. But again, that's really with just the fridge, nothing else, and just sitting in sunlight. Obviously, if it's cloudy, the system doesn't pull hardly anything. So with that, what else did I want to hit on? Oh, is when it comes to AC in this system, the reality is the Flex package really is not capable of running the AC, to me, like what a typical usage case may be. If it's something to where you're traveling and you're just stopping overnight, and say you just stop at a rest stop or something like that, that's your best option. Sure, maybe that's so that you don't have to pull a generator out or anything like that. It's kind of a viable option, but it still depletes the battery very heavily, and you will see it discharge just about everything if you actually go like for a full night's sleep, somewhere 7-8 hours, whatever the case may be. But the reality is, if you are going to be running the AC, you're going to need a generator. Just like a standard trailer, there's no way the Flex package is capable of really utilizing that AC, and then also, making sure that, it recharges the system so you can get 4 or 5 days out of it. It's just not going to happen. And I'll also point out that we've upgraded the generator that we have. We had a killer deal on a Generac 3300i. So with that, we were able to basically bump up our capacity. So we get longer runs, and as well as we're able to run more. So the Pulsar 2300i, that's actually a really competent generator. It's run great when we've used it. But I would say the best usage case for that is to either, one, use it to recharge the battery if it's been really cloudy, you just want to top it off. It's great for that. Or if you just your battery's doing okay, but you're going to run a microwave for a while or something like that, it'll handle that without an issue. But as far as kind of running the AC, like I think when the compressor kicks on with the fridge and some other things going, it can potentially overload that generator. So it's not the best option in that sense. But if you're up north, Alaska, Montana, or someplace where it just really doesn't get that hot, something like a 2,000 watt generator, something in that range is more than enough just to keep the battery topped off. Again, just extend the life of your system overall. But the Generac 3300i, so our experience with just that particular one is that, we top it off before we go to bed at night, and we will fire that thing up, and then it'll run the AC basically through the night, almost the entire time. And then usually by the time that it does die, we're not too far from waking up anyways, so the battery takes over, and then we only see the system drop maybe like 10-15%. So something like the Generac 3300i is really good in that sense. And I think ideally something like the Harbor Freight, the Predator 4550i, that would be a great option. The only problem is for us is that, when we go to the motorcycle races, we're boondocking. I've got a bike in the bed of the truck as well as ramps and some other stuff. So space is kind of a premium, and it's an open frame generator, still quiet, but it's an open frame generator. It's more expensive. It's like $750 now, I think. Plus you have to buy the wheel kit. But I do think it has a larger gas tank, so you probably get a little longer run time. But then again, you're going to have probably just a larger gas can with you too, just to make sure you can keep it filled. But so that's kind of in that piece of things, just with the AC and the generator, and making sure that you basically can truly support the system, so that you're not running the battery dead. But I will point out what we discovered on this last round with the generator is, so if your battery's been depleted, say you've been running it through the day, and you decide, okay, you need to run the air conditioning, it's getting too steamy. When you hook up a generator, if the battery is, say, at 80%, the bulk of what the generator is producing is going to go first to replenishing that battery. So best practices are let the generator recharge the battery, and then once it's charged, fire your AC or whatever the case may be, if it's another heavy-hitting appliance like a microwave. Because what we'll find is, or what we found out, is that with running just the microwave on top of it trying to recharge the battery, it overloaded the generator, the 3300i. So kind of a best practice is let it top off the battery, and then you should be good. And we've actually found the Generac, we can actually run the microwave as well as the AC, and it doesn't seem to create an issue. The other piece is, and I would recommend this, that when you run a generator with these, that you do not run them in eco mode. And just like, I'm kind of figuring out things of how to maximize the life of the battery. I also want to maximize the life of my generators. And so when you run on eco mode, the RPMs drop substantially. And you'll even notice with the eco off that when the AC compressor kicks on or when you fire a microwave, you'll really hear that generator amp up because it's trying to meet the voltage demands. And if it's an eco, then it has to hammer that engine that much more. And I mean, you can even smell it in the exhaust burns, so it just creates that much more stress on the generator. And then what we've seen with it on eco mode is even when you fire the microwave, you'll see the light kind of come on, then dim, because the generator can't produce enough, and then just for a second until it ramps up the wattage to where suddenly the microwave's at full power. So it's also just kind of, it may not be any kind of scientific fact behind it, but I also want to keep it off eco mode just to make sure that I'm not potentially damaging some of the stuff in the trailer by not having enough voltage to power these systems. So maybe just me, but still I do know it does actually help extend the life of the generator because it's not having to ramp up so fast and so hard. So that's where we're at now. Like I said, we'll be doing a recap next month from the Smokies. So in the meantime, stay safe. Look forward to seeing you out there.